Today is July 31st edition of Back Roads of Illinois. We were Central Illinois agriculture source, and in the Midwest alongside in Central Illinois agriculture, we were glad you're here on Back Roads of Illinois. I am glad that you're here with us on a Wednesday. I have some stuff to take care of for this week. However, we're glad you're here on the show. This time is serious business on Back Roads of Illinois. Trouble with the new farm bill. Wheat quality look good. The beans markets are fall into pieces. Have some concerns about the new farm bill. We were seeing declining commodity prices and tariff from China on the campaign trail. We will still not have a new farm bill for this year in Washington, D.C. It's pretty great a risk from income net and risk of tariffs to China. However, the biofuels are mixed as well on the campaign trail. The wheat quality look good in central U.S. and Kansas have a great yield to the wheat crop for right now alongside the harvest season is completely. The beans markets are fall into pieces. We were seeing declining prices for the beans markets after the rally in 2020. However, things are going to be installed on the markets about tariffs talk and biofuels. We were going to have a conversation about the commodities markets on the farmland value with Chad Hart from Iowa State University. And we were talking about the commodities with Kyle Bumsted and Greg McBride for Allendale. Stay tuned on Back Roads of Illinois. We were joining with Chad Hart from Iowa State University Extension and Ames. How are you today, Chad?
I am good. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Let's start our conversation with the lowest prices on the commodities markets with the farmland value for right now.
When we're looking at these prices, we have seen them drop fairly significantly. And especially when it comes to our corn and soybean markets, they're being overwhelmed right now with amazing supplies, both from the old crop perspective, the crop we harvested last fall that we still have in storage across farms across the nation, along with looking at the prospects of very large to record crops being harvested this fall. And so that has definitely put pressure on those commodity prices.
How is the cash market?
The cash market is, it has seen similar price drops, but for example, we do see some better basis levels, especially as I look here within central Iowa. We have seen our ethanol plants and our feed mills keep a higher basis level than usual to try to draw corn and soybeans to them. So while futures prices have fallen dramatically, cash prices haven't fallen quite as much because of those stronger basis levels.
Chad, how do you see impacting the farmland value because of the commodity markets on corn and beans markets?
Well, looking at these lower prices, that is leading to lower projections for net farm income. And typically, as farm incomes decline, we do see land values tend to follow suit and start to decline. One of the interesting things, especially as we look forward to the end of this week, is that USDA will release their land value report. They typically do it within the first week of August. And the expectation is that will likely show either stable or slightly declining land values over the course of the past year.
How is the farmland value in central Iowa?
The farmland values here in central Iowa, at least anecdotally, we're seeing values that are slightly lower than what we had over, say, 6 months ago. We have seen a little bit of a pullback as prices on the commodities have fallen down. But that said, the reduction is relatively small, in the order of 2 to 3%.
Oh.
What are your sources for the PLC or ARC of the Farm Bill?
Well, as we're looking at the Farm Bill, we're not seeing a lot of progress necessarily in getting a new Farm Bill in place. So I think many farmers are looking at probably keeping the existing one at least for probably another year. But as we look at those existing programs, within both the ARC and PLC program, we have seen the building in of higher reference prices. So in this case, for corn, the reference price is now $4.01, which is up from $3.70 for the years before. Soybeans is up to $9.26. So we're getting a little bit higher support price in the Farm Bill programs due to those escalator clauses within them. Yet we're not seeing prices low enough to necessarily trigger payments yet. But as we look forward into next year, it's quite likely we could see some payments being triggered underneath the Farm Bill if prices remain at the low levels we're seeing today.
Are you hearing a conversation with Congress about federal crop insurance?
Sort of like with the Farm Bill, we're not seeing a lot of discussions or actions yet. But as the Farm Bill debate begins to pick up, crop insurance will be one of the major topics of discussion. I think for most Farm Bill legislators, they are looking to maintain the federal crop insurance program as it is, if not try to boost it a bit. But at the same time, it's the federal crop insurance program that is a target, if you will, for potential cuts if the budget situation is really tight in getting a farm bill passed. But when you talk to groups like the American Farm Bureau Association, the National Corn Growers Association, the American Soybean Association, they are definitely wanting to protect the crop insurance program that they have.
Do you have any concerns about soybean futures for the next couple of months until November?
I do, in the sense that we have a lot of soybeans currently in storage, both at elevators around the country, but a lot on farm that we know will need to get marketed before we really start harvest here within the next, several weeks. So those soybean futures will be under pressure, the nearby futures, because of the great supplies that we have available to us right now, especially as we approach bringing in even more supplies from the field this harvest.
Is there anything would you like to go to tell our audience about these issues in the agricultural sector for right now?
In looking at where we're at with the agricultural economy, it reminds me a lot of what we went through in 2013 and 2014, so about 10 years ago. We are seeing a downturn within the agricultural economy right now, and it did take us a while to recover from that last time. But we will recover. We always do. Agriculture goes through economic cycles. I think what is unique about the one we're facing right now is they say a lot of the pricing problems we're having right now is because of gigantic supplies available in the corn and soybean markets. Demand for our product right now is actually very good when we look at corn usage projected for next year. We're looking at nearly 15 billion bushels of corn being utilized throughout the world, throughout the country. I mean, when you're looking at soybeans, same thing. We see very strong usage. So that does lead to, I'd say, expectations of recovery a little more quickly this time around than what we say experienced a decade ago.
Do you see impacting the economy?
Well, that's the deal. We are seeing definitely the agricultural economy is going through its downturn now, and it is impacting outside of agriculture as well. When you think about the job losses we have seen at like John Deere, that is slowing down the general economy as well. But I don't necessarily see it necessarily indicating that just because the ag economy has turned down, that the general economy has to fall in recession. I think in this case, if the Federal Reserve can balance interest rates right, it looks like the general economy might continue to grow despite the downturn in the agricultural economy.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Uh, I'll go back to sort of my last statement there. When we're looking here, I think agriculture is going through a downturn. When we look at the projections for net farm income right now, while they're coming down off of what had been record high net farm income levels over the past 2 to 3 years. So we're readjusting now to income levels that I'm going to argue are more normal or more historically average than we've had the last couple of years. And that's the hard part about a downturn is adjusting back down to lower levels of income when you've had that nice boost of income as we've had over the past couple of years.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you, Cesar. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
This is Chad Hart from Iowa State University Extension in Ames, on back roads of Illinois. We are back in the show with Kyle Bumsted and Greg McBride for Allendale. We were welcoming to them especially Greg McBride for Back Roads of Illinois. Welcome to the show. How are you guys?
Doing very well. Thank you.
Doing fine. Thank you, sir.
Let's start with our conversation about the grain market for today on the board. What's going on about the grain market? Start off with Greg.
Well, I think what you're seeing is you got some pushback on the market here. The funds continue to stay short. The forecast does still look bearish. It's got some rain coming in. It's taken a lot of the heat away. So there's no concerns about some of those areas that are a little bit on the drier side. So I think really we're just dealing with a fund position or managed money that's in charge of this market, and they want to push the agenda and push the markets a little bit lower, and that's what we saw. We did see a nice bounce off the lows for the beans, wheat, and corn, but still we're just hovering near those lows.
How about the weather premium? It's still playing.
Yeah, there's no major weather premium put into this market at this point, and I have a hard time adding any at this point. You kind of get a sense from talking to producers around that the market is still doing very or not the market, but the crops are still doing very well. There are going to be places where we're in a low spot. We've got some production issues, maybe out in the southeast. You've got some up in Minnesota and parts of the Dakotas. But overall, that's how averages get made. We've got ourselves a big crop out there, and I don't think there's any reason to really apply any big weather premium just yet. And it's too early to start looking to South America to add any weather premium to this market just yet, too.
Greg, do you have any concerns about this crop in northern Illinois near Rockford and the state line of Wisconsin?
No, not really. There are some good areas. We've been fortunate over the last 4 or 5 years to have some really good crops, even with the areas that had seen some compaction issues back in 19. We've come out of that. This year's crop looks really good. There might be some uneven areas. There's some spots that were a little bit washed out, but overall it's going to be a big crop, and I have a feeling here in Illinois, from what I've seen, especially in northern Illinois up by the Wisconsin line, I think you're still talking about well over 200 average on this corn, and it's a little too early on beans, but I still think the beans are going to be maybe a 60 to 80 bushel crop.
What is the forecast for northern Illinois?
Well, right now we're looking at rain coming into the 1 to 5 day forecast. There's no real dry portion just yet. So as we start to turn our backs on the pollination period, and we start to look towards pod fill in August, I don't see any major issues. It looks like we're going to get sufficient rain, and maybe even very good amounts of rain that continue to push this market. Maybe gives this market a little bit of pressure, but overall, there's no major issues here in northern Illinois.
Now, how is the cash market in central Nebraska, and how was the planting season kick off?
Well, we pretty well got planting season all wrapped up, and that's going for the recent forage crops that just got put in. Everything's good to go there. But to answer your first question about the cash market, it's been slowly weakening. There's been those old crop bushels bust loose and come to town. And as far as this area goes, so far, knock on wood, we haven't gotten any bad weather, and it looks like there's going to be a sizable crop coming, just like Greg said he has in northern Illinois. Now, that being said, the dry land is probably going to burn up this week if it doesn't get any rain. We in this immediate area, missed the rain here today that was coming through. We're still dealing with triple-digit heat indexes out there. Even on a cloudy day, it's still triple-digit heat index today. And we've got some hot, dry weather for the next probably week or so. And then you get into the end of next week, and it's supposed to be cooling off. So that could be a little bit of a saving grace there if it cools off here. It should help with the irrigation too if it cools off. But we've been pumping water like crazy left and right. And so far, things still look good in this area, and the cash market is getting weak.
How is the corn crop in central Nebraska?
Yeah, so far the corn crop looks excellent, barring those few fields of dry land. Of course, dry land in this area is all about management, like it is in any place that doesn't get much rain. But there's some dry land that looks really good, and there's some dry land that's going to look tough here at the end of the week. But that's kind of be expected here. When you plant dry land out here, you're crossing your fingers that you get something. But the irrigated corn looks excellent. Looks like it could be a record yield or close to a record yield in this area.
Could you tell our listeners about cattle market and cattle expansion for right now alongside taking of demand? Kyle.
Yeah. Yep, that's a really good question. To me, this cattle market kind of has a feel to it that it's priced in the lower placements that are coming here in the coming months. It doesn't act right to me. It doesn't look good. This is a tough time of the year on the calendar to be trading cattle. A lot of folks are standing aside, but with that being said, there were some areas here a few days ago where you could have gotten some decent hedges in place. As far as expansion goes, there's a little bit of expansion going on right now. It's not really what people can see. It doesn't really hit those cattle on feed reports, but there's a little bit of expansion going on. We do have decent grass this year, and I think guys are going to save a few heifers back. But on the same token, as I say that, a lot of these ranchers are looking at their operations saying, with the price of interest and the price of money and what I've got wrapped up in this thing, maybe it's good to just get rid of the heifers and along with the steers right now this fall, stop some interest and just pay down some debt if we can. And, kind of reassess and focus on it next year. If we can save next year, we might just wait and save cattle back next year.
The fats have made their move to the high side. Seen a little bit of consolidation here, but I think at these levels and similar to what we saw last year, the production issues are well known. That's the bull side of this argument. But you're having trouble with seeing, much higher cash trade or follow through cash trade. I think you're also seeing the box beef numbers come in and be disappointing over the last few weeks. So I'd be a little bit careful with this with these higher prices on the fat side of things. I'd be actively looking to get some protection in place if I'm a producer out there.
Where people can find you.
Yeah, you can get a hold of us at allendale-inc.com or allendalehub.com. You can call our main office here at 800-2-MARKET. That's a good way to get a hold of me. And then Kyle's got his own office out there in the country with us.
Yeah, that's right. You can get a hold of me at 308-708-7340 right at the office here.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we know that we're in a situation where the managed money is in control of this market. They want to hold a record short. At some point, you will see that this market is oversold, whether you're talking about corn or soybeans, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you get bullish at the bottom, but I think it gives you an opportunity to see some light short covering, and that could give you a little bit of a bounce to take some further action. But I wouldn't be lifting hedges at this point. I'd just be looking to add on if there was an opportunity to the upside here.
Thanks, you guys.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Greg McBride and Kyle Bumsted from Allendale Inc. on back roads of Illinois. This is your agricultural or commodity markets update on back roads of Illinois. Corn futures finished in down 3 to 6 cents. Soybean futures finished in down 7 to 9 cents. Wheat futures finished in down 4 to 6 cents. Now that we are going to talk about the livestock market for today on back roads of Illinois. Cattle futures finished in down 8 to 9 cents. Feeder cattle finished in down 8 to 7 cents. Lean hogs finished in down 3 to 5. Crude oil finished in up 10 to 9 cents per barrel. Dow Jones finished in up 2 points. And welcome to the show. I am traveling for right now. However, I've been watching the grain market and dilemma in the Farm Bill. We were seeing the campaign trail from last couple weeks ago by bringing agricultural as the value for both of these candidates. We've been discussed about the shutdown for the farm. Net income and demand for ethanol production are lower for the future in the country, especially in the Midwest. You've been listening to Back Roads of Illinois. Thanks to Chad Hart from Iowa State University Extension and Ames. Thanks to Kyle Bumsted and Greg McBride for Allendale. We're running out of time on our show. You can listen to our show wherever you get your podcast. This has been Back Roads of Illinois. I am Cesar Delgado. Have a great day.